Om. Om. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Tam Namami Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Jai Gurudev. So yesterday we did up until verse 24, which was, we'll just go back to verse 24 and continue. This was verse 24 from chapter 7, verse number 19. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. At the end of many births, the Jnani takes refuge in me, that Mahatma who realizes that all this is Vasudeva is very rare. The Garbhopanishad says that the Jiva, when in the womb, suffering the pangs of prenatal arrest, vows that when once released from the mother's womb, he will devote his entire life to the feet of the Almighty, even pray to him devotedly, free himself from all attachments, and always soak his mind with the thoughts of the Lord. But at the time of delivery from the womb into this world, he is covered by Maya, and then onwards, a new life of ignorance starts. This is because, despite his vows which he made, that is, unable to suffer the pangs of arrest, when in the womb, his mind has not evolved yet to entertain the thoughts of the higher. And the mind is still very dirty. However, birth after birth, he would make incremental progress towards realization of the truth of life. And at the end, finally, of many trying births, he evolves himself as a Jnani and takes complete refuge in Bhagavan. Which Bhagavan? Vasudeva Sarvamidam iti bhavanena. with the thought that all this is indeed Vasudeva. And who is Vasudeva? Vyasa Bhagavan beautifully defines Vasudeva in his Vishnu Sahasra Namam thus: Vasanat Vasudevasya Vasitam Bhuvanatrayam Sarvabhuta Nivasosi Vasudeva Namostute. The fragrance of Vasudeva clothes the three worlds, the indweller of all beings. Vasudeva, salutations to you. That kind of a person, a jnani, is indeed difficult to find, is rare. In the earlier verse, that is 18th verse of chapter 7, Bhagavan has already qualified the jnani as jnani tu atma eva me matam. Whereas my opinion is that jnani is indeed atma, I. The import of this verse is that we must strive at all times to unravel the mystery of life, ever inquire into the purpose of our birth, and fruitfully spend our time in the thought and service of the Lord, and in the process cleanse the mind effectively to shorten the bahunam janmas to a few janmas, and thereafter merge with the Lord. This merger is more like the wave realizing that it is indeed the oceanic water and thus becoming the ocean. The cleaner the mind, the faster the self-realization. Bhagavan Ramana proved this maxim and thus liked it. Verse number 25, chapter 8, verse 21. I think we did until 26, I think 27. Doesn't matter, we'll repeat this. Avyaktoksara ityuktaha tamahuh paramam gatim yam prapya na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. That is said to be unmanifest, indeclinable, and the supreme end, having gained which there is no return. That is my supreme abode. Unmanifest because it is not available for perception by the senses and the mind-intellect equipment. These implements are all byproducts of avidya, ignorance. That which is an effect of avidya cannot cognize the very vidya principle, the knowledge principle, which is Bhagavan. Akshara, indeclinable, like even the space. That which does not undergo any change, does not grow or diminish, is not subject to be influenced by anything whatsoever, is Akshara, indeclinable. That is the origin, that is Sat, for which Abhavaha na vidyate, no non-being. That is the beginning, the middle, and the end of all that our mind can perceive, the intellect can cognize. That was before anything began and will last the last dissolution. That unmanifest and indeclinable state when one gains, that person is said to have merged with the supreme truth, and that is the Paramdhama, the final abode anyone can aspire. Having gone where, there is no further coming and going, and hence yam prapya nanivartante, after gaining which does not return. Return where? To the samsara. There is no janma, no mrityu, no boy, no girl, no world, no attachment, no delusion, no avidya. It is all ananda, the supreme bliss. Is it any wonder that this verse was the favorite of Bhagavan Ramana? Verse 26, this is the 22nd verse of chapter 9. Ananyas chintayanto mam e janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Whoever prays to me, serves me with no other thought. Those who ever revel in the identity with me, I shall secure their yogam and kshemam. Apraptasya prapanam yogam. Obtaining that which one does not have is yogam. Praptasya rakshanam kshemam. Protection of that which is obtained is kshemam. Bhagavan's promise is that he will secure or take care of both yogam and kshemam. It is a promise with a superlative condition. Tesham, those who with singular devotion to me, who do not think of any other than me, who always pray to me and serve me, that is the condition. Ananya Chinta means no other thought or worry. Ananya Chinta, in contrast, Anya Chinta, in contrast, will be who will take care of me if I keep on always praying to Bhagavan? Who will take care of my dear wife and children? What happens to my family when I perish in the process? How about the education of my children? Who will organize their well-being and security? And how about their marriages? Who will organize the property division to the members of my family? And such like thoughts. Our effort must be to have lasting Shraddha in Bhagavan's promise, unflinching devotion to him, and a commitment to constantly pray to him and serve him. Then we need not worry about yogam, kshemam, both of which are really the burden of Bhagavan. Are we not free persons then? That is the state to which Bhagavan is driving us for our benefit. Was this not a demonstrated feature of Bhagavan Ramana's life? And would he not love such a verse? Yeah. Jai Gurudev. Bela, you can start sharing. From 27th verse onwards, you can take over. I will chant the verse in the meantime. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam enamamupayanti te. To the steadfast devotees who always pray to me with love, I shall bestow jnanam to enable them attain me. Teshamevanukampartham ahamajnanajam tamaha nashayamyatma bhavasto jnanadipena bhasvata. Out of compassion for them, I shall shine the light of knowledge in their minds to destroy the darkness born out of ignorance. Jnanam, knowledge, is necessary to annihilate avidya or ignorance, which has been bothering us. Nay, binding us for bahunam janmas, many births. This jnanam must be resplendent, like even the effulgent sun, who banishes the darkness totally, to destroy the false notions that we inherited for ages, the doubts that we are so fond of entertaining, the false identifications that we have been cherishing all along, the silly sentiments that we so lovingly care and carry. In short, the jnanam must be unalloyed. Then only avidya, the cause of our miserable existence, takes to flight. Yeah, you go to verse 27, 28.
From here, jnanam, knowledge is necessary or below. This one, right, Ramaraji? Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Yes, that is the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hari Om. Jnanam, knowledge, is necessary to annihilate avidya or ignorance, which has been bothering us, may binding us for bahunam janmas, many births. This jnanam must be resplendent like even the effulgent sun who banishes the darkness totally to destroy the false notions that we inherited for ages, the doubts that we are so fond of entertaining, the false identifications that we have been cherishing all along, the silly sentiments that we so lovingly care and carry. In short, the jnanam must be unalloyed. Then only avidya, the cause of our miserable existence, takes to flight. Bhagavan, through these two verses, has undertaken to accomplish for our sake two things. One, he will bestow jnanam to us and enables us attain him. Secondly, he will ensure that this jnanam takes place in us properly by exposing our minds to the brilliance of the light of jnanam. I repeat why Bhagavan has chosen. Bhagavan, through these two verses, has undertaken to accomplish for our sake two things. One, he will bestow jnanam to us and enables us attain him. Secondly, he will ensure that this jnanam takes place in us properly by exposing our minds to the brilliance of the light of jnanam. What a concern and what compassion. All this he has promised for our hitam, benefit. However, this jnanam is not free. It shall be, as it were, bought from Bhagavan with supreme devotion, prayer, and love to him. So these are the prerequisites. I repeat, it shall be, as it were, bought from Bhagavan with supreme devotion, prayer, and love to him. The Jagat Guru Bhagavan knows what we lack and what we want. He is prepared to give all that to us. He wants to ensure that he will not bestow this treasure on undeserving persons. That is why the conditions laid down, which are sukham kartum, very easy to do, provided we have the burning desire for freedom, mumukshutvam, commitment for it, and a will to put in persistent effort towards the desired objective. I repeat, that is why the conditions laid down, which are sukham kartum, very easy to do, provided we have the burning desire for freedom, mumukshutvam, commitment for it, and a will to put in persistent effort towards the desired objective. Such a Mahatma was Bhagwan Ramana. Please let me know if my voice is breaking because there is a notification. I repeat, such a Mahatma was Bhagwan Ramana, on whom Bhagwan's Kripa flowed in abundance and who naturally liked the above couplet of verses. The next is from Dwichatvarimshat, verse 29, and from our present chapter 10th, verse 20. I'll just read from the Bhagavad Gita, verse 20, from chapter 10. Aham atma gudakesha sarvabhutashaya sthitah aham adishcha madhyam cha bhutanamanta eva cha. O Gudakesha, I am Atma and reside in all beings. I am the very beginning, middle, and of all beings. I repeat, O Gudakesha, I am Atma and reside in all beings. I am the very beginning, middle, and end of all beings. Arjuna was addressed, enhancing his self-image as Gudakesha, which means one who has a degree of mastery over the sense organs. This also means one who has a mastery over sleep. I repeat, Arjuna was addressed, enhancing his self-image as Gudakesha, which means one who has a degree of mastery over the sense organs. This also means one who has a mastery over sleep. This verse is in response to Arjuna's query as to in what all he could see Bhagavan and what all are his glories. In one shot, Bhagavan said that he is everywhere and that he is not only Atma but obtains in everything and in every being as Atma. That means what all we see is Atma. What all we see is Bhagavan. There is no other. We are devoted to Bhagavan. Then why do we have likes and dislikes in respect of persons that we come across? Are they not Bhagavans? Then where is the division? Vibhakti. When we pray to him, it is with bhakti, devotion, or at least required to be with bhakti. How then has this vibhakti caught hold of us? That is because we take what is said in the Gita as a bit of information and not an injunction for our good. I repeat, that means what all we see is Atma. What all we see is Bhagwan. There is no other. We are devoted to Bhagwan. Then why do we have likes and dislikes in respect of persons that we come across? Are they not Bhagwans? Then where is the division? Vibhakti. When we pray to him, it is with bhakti, devotion, or at least required to be with bhakti. How then has this vibhakti caught hold of us? That is because we take what is said in the Gita as a bit of information and not an injunction for our good. Readers of the Gita, even after understanding this verse, if they constantly practice vibhakti, then they might as well give up the Gita for good and read some miserable newspaper which gives a lot more information. In order to inculcate the requisite Shraddha and Bhakti in us, there are some beautiful invocatory verses to the Gita, one of which reads thus. It reminds me of our Vijayji's comment when we were having Manana session, that there will be so many times we have gone through Gita, but how many times Gita has gone through you? So we just need to remember that. Okay, so here Shraddha and Bhakti, the beautiful invocatory verses to the Gita. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum lamghayate girim kshamata. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum lamghayate girim kripa aham vande paramananda madhav.
Yeah, Jai Gurudev. It is Mukam Karoti Vachalam.
It is Dirgha, right?
There's a Dirgha there. It's a wonderful, beautiful. It's there in our Gita Prarthana.
Yes. Even in Vishnu Sahasranam, ending is there.
Right.
Yeah.
Mukam karoti vachalam is the one who's dumb, who gives him speech.
Yeah.
Pangum langayate girim, and who enables a person who's doesn't have legs, to lame, to climb the mountains. Yat kripatamaham vande paramananda madhavam. Yeah, please go ahead, Bela.
Yeah, it's a beautiful shloka. I salute the embodiment of happiness, Madhava, whose krupa makes the dumb eloquent and the lame cross a mountain. Bhagavan further said that he is the Jagat Karanam. Aham Adishya Madhyamcha Bhutanam Anta Evacha. That he is the sustainer and also the Laya Karaka, the cause of dissolution. When Bhagavan is saying that he is the very beginning, middle, and end of every being, then where is the difference in the beings? Why do all of us see this vibhakti? Where is the need for hatred, malice, jealousy, anger? Why is the attachment only to some? Why not get attached to all and enjoy the happiness born out of that equanimity? Why not live happily thereafter? The reason is that we are not yet qualified for that task. The need is Shraddha, together with a pure mind and a discerning intellect. We must take refuge at the feet of Jivan Muktas, like Bhagavan Ramana, to whom the verse 29, chapter 10, 20 was very dear. I think I repeat this last explanation what Nanaji has given for Mukam Kya Karoti Vacha. Bhagavan further said that he is the Jagat Karanam. Aham Adishya Madhyamcha Bhutanam Anta Evacha. That he is the sustainer and also the Laya Karaka, the cause of dissolution. When Bhagavan is saying that he is the very beginning, middle, and end of every being, then there is the difference in the beings. Why do all of us see this vibhakti? Where is the need for hatred, malice, jealousy, anger? Why is the attachment only to some? Why not get attached to all and enjoy the happiness born out of that equanimity? Why not live happily thereafter? The reason is that we are not yet qualified for that task. The need is Shraddha, together with a pure mind and a discerning intellect. So, Antakarana Shuddha. So, the next is, we must take refuge at the feet of
Bela,
Jivan
can you repeat that?
Muktas.
Sorry, can you repeat that last sentence? The need is Shraddha.
Yes, the need is Shraddha together with a pure mind and a discerning intellect. We must take refuge at the feet of Jivan Muktas, like Bhagwan Ramana, to whom the verse 29, chapter 10, 20 was very dear. So I think pure Antakarana Shuddhi and a discerning intellect. That is Naishalya Bharamaraji, Antakaran Naishalya, discerning intellect.
Yeah, discerning intellect is Viveka actually, but correct. Here the three things that were mentioned are Shraddha, a pure mind, which is Antakarana Shuddhi, and the Viveka.
So the verse 54 from chapter 11. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya ahamevam vidhorjuna gyatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. Kindly correct me if my pronunciation is mistaken. Arjuna, with unflinching devotion, it is possible to know me. Thus, see and in essence enter. I repeat, Arjuna, with unflinching devotion, it is possible to know me. Thus, see and in essence enter. This verse talks of both bhakti and jnanam, thus perhaps indicating that the difference between unadulterated bhakti and jnanam is either only apparent or very little. I repeat, this verse talks of both bhakti and jnanam, thus perhaps indicating that the difference between unadulterated bhakti and jnanam is either only apparent or very little. So as Brahmaraji said, Antakarana Shuddhi and Viveka Buddhi through that discerning intellect. Bhagavan said thus in the first line of the verse, it is possible through Ananya, meaning avyabhicharini, no other, non-wavering bhakti. I can be thus. I repeat in the first line. In the first line of the verse, it is possible through Ananya, meaning avyabhicharini, no other, non-wavering bhakti. I can be thus. In the second line of the verse, known, seen, and really entered into, O Parantapa. Paran Shatrum Tapayati, the scorcher of foes. Paran Shatrum Tapayati, the scorcher of foes. I can be thus known means that the Virat Swarupam of Bhagwan till then shown to Arjuna upon his request. That form has clearly shown that Bhagwan is Sarvagataha, everywhere, Sarva Antaryami, the indweller of everyone, and Sarva Shaktiman, all powerful. I will repeat, I can be thus known means that the Virat Swarupam of Bhagwan till then shown to Arjuna upon his request. That form has clearly shown that Bhagwan is Sarvagataha, everywhere, Sarva Antaryami, the indweller of everyone, and Sarva Shaktiman, all powerful. Virat Swarupam has shown to Arjuna the entire universe with all that would happen in the universe like Sarga, creation, Sthiti, sustenance, and Layam, dissolution. Bhagwan had also shown to Arjuna what would happen in the war. All the principal warriors of both the armies were struggling in between the teeth of Bhagwan. So many worlds were shown together with all their inhabitants like the Devas, Siddhas, Sadhyas, Rakshasas, Kinnaras, etc. But Arjuna did not see himself in the Virat. Thus, there was a division in Arjuna's mind, himself and what he saw in Bhagwan. Dvaitat bhayam bhavati. The of vibhakti, division, fear happens, and Arjuna was frightened. I repeat the last few lines. Bhagwan had also shown to Arjuna what had happened in the war. All the principal warriors of both the armies were struggling in between the teeth of Bhagwan. So many worlds were shown together with all their inhabitants like the Devas, Siddhas, Sadhyas, Rakshasas, kinnaras, etc. But Arjuna did not see himself in the Virat. Thus, there was a division in Arjuna's mind, himself and what he saw in Bhagwan. Dvaitat bhayam bhavati. In the presence of vibhakti, division, fear happens, and Arjuna was frightened. The Taittiriya Upanishad says, Udaramantaram kurute adha tasya bhayam bhavati. Kindly correct me if I am wrong.
Udara, no, shall I
Udara,
chant? Yeah. Udaramantaram kurute atha tasya bhayam bhavati.
Udaramantaram, astu, Udaramantaram kurute adha tasya bhayam bhavati. Meaning, whoever sees even the slightest difference in what is perceived, what all we see is indeed Atma, then that person is smitten by fear. The same Upanishad proclaims that whenever an aspirant gets established in this unperceivable, bodiless, where did it go? The same Upanishad proclaims that whenever an aspirant gets established in this unperceivable, bodiless, inexpressible Brahman, then that person becomes fearless. Adha tasya bhayam gato bhavati. But what Arjuna was overtaken with fear owing to lack of appreciation of Atma. It is clear thus that Arjuna and all of us required this all-inclusive jnanam, and that is why Bhagwan mentioned it along with bhakti. This is yet another verse liked by Bhagwan Ramana, for whom Bhayam was a stranger. You want me to repeat anything from the previous paragraph? I think here we should recall that verse also. Sarva bhutastha. I don't know which verse, but we have to see in all beings his presence. The next is from the Dwichatvarimshat, verse 31, and from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verse 15. Chapter 12, verse 15. Yasmanno dvijate loko, lokanno dvijate chayah, harshamashabhyodvegai muktoya sachame priyah. Kindly correct me if my pronunciation is wrong. Yasmanno dvijate loko, lokanno dvijateh, harsham bhayodvegair mukto ya sachame priyah. By whoever people do not get agitated, whoever is not agitated by people, whoever is free from elation, impatience, fear, and excitement, such a person is dear to me. I repeat, by whoever people do not get agitated, whoever is not agitated by people, whoever is free from elation, impatience, fear, and excitement, such a person is dear to me. Starting from the 13th verse of this chapter till almost the end, 19th verse, Bhagwan spelled out the lakshanas, characteristics of the bhakta who is dear to him. In this verse, a quiescent bhakta. Kindly correct me if my pronunciation is wrong. In this verse, a quiescent bhakta is presented. The lakshanas are those of a jnani. If we want to be in the august company of the dear ones to Bhagavan, we must strive to leave this verse. Do not trouble the world and do not get troubled by the world. Get rid of the propensity for elation, impatience, fear, and excitement. It seems easy to appreciate what is said, but how about an effort to live thus? To acquire those qualities, a lot of effort, discipline, and perseverance are needed. Endowed with these and unshakable commitment and devotion to the Lord, it is indeed possible to render oneself dear to Bhagavan. I repeat this quality. The lakshanas are those of a jnani. If we want to be in the august company of the dear ones to Bhagavan, we must strive to live this verse. Do not trouble the world and do not get troubled by the world. Get rid of the propensity for elation, impatience, fear, and excitement. It seems easy to appreciate what is said, but how about an effort to live thus? To acquire those qualities, a lot of effort, discipline, and perseverance are needed. Endowed with these and unshakable commitment and devotion to the Lord, it is indeed possible to render oneself dear to Bhagavan. That is how Bhagavan Ramana conducted himself in his mortal coil to become dear to Bhagavan, and the verse became dear to him. So beautiful. Thus ends the message of part 3. Thus ends the second Shatka, 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. The message of part 4. So from the Dwichatvarimshat, verses 32 and 33, and from chapter 13, verse 2 and 3. I shall read from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, second and third verse. Shri Bhagavanuvacha idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidhiyate etadyo veti tam prahuhu kshetrajna iti tadvidah.
Yeah, Jai Gurudev Bela. Shall I take
Yeah.
over? Yeah.
Yeah, please. I can continue sharing, Brahmaraj. You can read.
I think it's better, Radha. Let me share the screen because it will be easier to coordinate.
Okay.
Yeah, so we begin the message of part 4, verses 32-33, which are from chapter 13, the second and the third verses. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidhiyate etadyo veti tam prahuhu kshetrajna iti tadvidah. O Kaunteya, this shariram is said to be kshetram. The knower of this is said to be kshetrajna by those who know tat kshetram. The third verse of chapter 13. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञयोर्ज्ञानं यत्तज्ज्ञानं मतं मम. O Bharata, know me to be the Kshetrajna in all the Kshetras. My opinion is Jnanam is that which knows Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Arjuna wanted to know, see the first verse of chapter 13, the import of 6 terms. These are Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetram, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, and Jneyam. These were the 6 that Arjuna had listed he wanted to know and have clarity about. Among these, Prakriti and Kshetram are synonymous, and so too are Purusha and Kshetrajna. Bhagavan in this chapter starts his teaching with Kshetram, mentions a Mahavakya, and gives the gist of Jnanam through verse 3, covers Jnanam and Jneyam elaborately, and finally winds up with Kshetrajna. In verses 13.2 and 13.3, we have a couplet of shlokas in both, of which the terms Kshetram and Kshetrajna are embedded as though they are mutually complementary terms. Because Bhagavan said Idam Shariram, this body, in the second verse, we have to provisionally, though, take it as the human body, which is considered to be Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. Idam Shariram Khalu Dharma Sadhanam, the very means for all dharmas. As per the Shastra, it is only through the human body that self-realization can be attained. This is for whom? It is not for the indweller of the Kshetra, the very Jiva. Is it not? Is it not for the indweller of the Kshetra, the very Jiva? This self-realization for the ignorant Jiva is nothing but the rediscovery that the Jiva is indeed the Kshetrajna. And this is possible by proper deployment of the implement, the body, the Idam Shariram, for accomplishment of the desired objective, that is the attainment of Kshetrajna. In the second line of this verse, Bhagavan deftly portrays that the knower of this Kshetrajna, the knower of this Kshetram is Kshetrajna. Thus, say the Tat Vidaha. That is, one meaning would be in this context, the knowers of Kshetram, and another meaning perhaps can be the knowers of Tat, Sat, in the Mahavakya Tattvamasi. Bhagavan, through verses 13.6 and 7, elaborates the constituents of Kshetram, all of which are the products of Maya or Prakriti, and as such, Asat. The above 2 verses lead us to the meaning of Idam Shariram, the microcosm, as indeed Idam Jagat, the macrocosm, or the entire universe, which includes the bodies of you, I, and all other bodies too. Essentially, there are only 3 things, that is Idam, Jiva, and Ishvara, or Idam Jagat, Tvam Jiva, and Tat Ishvara. Thus, the 3 things can be said to be Jagat, Jiva, and Ishvara, or simply Jagat, Tvam, and Tat. But as per the Shastra and the Gita, the Jagat is Asat. See chapter, the 16th verse of chapter 2. Further, the Gita, especially the 3rd Shatka, teaches the identity of Tvam and Tat. Bela, if you have the Bhagavad Gita with you, can you chant the 16th verse of chapter 2?
Yeah. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah, ubhayorapi drashtontah, tvanayostattvadarshibhi.
Beautiful. So, but as per the Shastra and the Gita, the Jagat is Asat. Chapter 2, the verse 16, which just Bela just read, chanted. Further, the Gita, especially the third Shapka, teaches the identity of Tvam and Tat. That is, see, for example, verses 18 in chapter 7. Can we chant that also? And 13th, the third verse of chapter 3, which is what we've just read just now.
18th of chapter
7. That is the verse that talks of the identity of the Tvam and Tat. Sorry. It is the 7th verse of chapter 18, I think.
Chapter 18, 7th. Okay. नियतस्य तु संन्यासः कर्मणो नोपपद्यते मोहात् तस्य परित्यागः तामसः परिकीर्तितः.
No, I think I gave you the wrong interpretation. It is chapter 7, verse 18. The chapter comes first and then it's the verse. So that is how it was. Yeah.
Verse. Chapter 7, verse 18.
Yeah.
Chapter 7, verse 18. उदारा सर्व एवैते ज्ञानी त्वात्मैव मे मतम् आस्थितः स हि युक्तात्मा मामेवानुत्तमां गतिम्.
And the 13th chapter, verse 3, which is what we just read, Tat Kshetram Yacha Yadrikcha Kshetrajam Chapi Mam Vidhi Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata Kshetra Kshetrajnayor Jnanam Yatta Jnanam Matam Mama. Thus, if we dismiss the idam, that is Jagat, which includes our Shariram as Asad, and equate Tvam with Tat, then we will be left with only the Jiva, who is none other than Ishvara. The process of Neti Bhavana, that is, not this sequence of negating what all we are not, properly thinking and assimilating such knowledge would help understanding who we really are. And this indeed is the propellant for self-inquiry. That seems to be the import of the next verse, which has the Mahavakya, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. In this verse, Bhagavan mentioned two very important things. One, he is the Kshetrajna, that is the knower of the Kshetra in all the Kshetras. And two, the knowledge of Kshetra and Kshetrajna is indeed Jnanam, one of the 6 queries of Arjuna. The Kshetras may be the human bodies, the animal bodies, the bodies of all species, the mountains, rivers, oceans, the space, the air, the fire, the earth, or even the earth like other heavenly bodies, planets, the suns, stars, galaxies, in fact, anything that is visible, cognizable, or even vaguely imaginable. All the kshetras are asat and as such are dependent, like even the dream depends on the dreamer and as such negatable. Whereas the kshetrajna, the knower of the kshetras, is independent and though obtaining in all the kshetras is one, which is the truth. The kshetras are perishable, while the kshetrajna is unborn, ancient, beginningless, and everlasting. That is verses 6, chapter 2, 16 through 25. One way of getting rooted in this knowledge is to compare and contrast Kshetrajna, compare and contrast kshetra and kshetrajna all the time. Assimilate such knowledge and contemplate on the import of the teaching thus. Actually, we'll take time and we'll chant the verses from chapter 2, 16 through 25. Huh?
Brahmaraji, sorry
Yes.
to interfere.
Yeah.
There was a kshetra, kshetrajna, then jnana, gneyam, right?
Yeah.
So gneya is the knower, right?
Gneya is, I think, Kshetrajna is the knower. Gneya is, I think, that which is to be known.
There were four things: Purusha, Prakriti,
There were six
Kshetra,
actually.
Kshetrajna. Yeah, six. Kshetra,
Six.
Kshetrajna, Jnanam, Gneyam, right?
Yeah. I think we'll come to that, Vela. We'll
Okay.
come later.
Okay.
So the verses from 16 onwards in chapter 2. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayorapi drishtontaha, tvanayostatvadarshibhihi, avinashitu tadvidhi, yena sarvamidam tatam, vinashamavyayasyasya, न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति अन्तवन्त इमे देहा नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिणः अनाशिनो प्रमेयस्य तस्माद्युध्यस्व भारत य एनं वेत्ति हन्तारं यश्चैनं मन्यते हतम् उभौ तौ न विजानीतः नायं हन्ति न हन्यते न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे वेदा विनाशिनं नित्यं य एनमजमव्ययम् कथं स पुरुषः पार्थ कं घातयति हन्तिकम् वासांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापः न शोषयति मारुतः अच्छेद्योऽयमदाह्योऽयम् अक्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च नित्यः सर्वगतस्थाणुः अचलोऽयं सनातनः अव्यक्तोऽयमचिन्त्योऽयम् अविकार्योऽयमुच्यते तस्मादेवं विदित्वैनं नानुशोचितुमर्हसि. So it is good to reminisce all these different verses of different chapters. Now, what Bhagavan is saying is, whereas the kshetrajna, the knower of the kshetras, is independent. See, the kshetras may be the human bodies, the animal bodies, the bodies of all other species, everything that is included. In fact, anything that is visible, cognizable, or even vaguely imaginable. All the kshetras are asat and as such are dependent, like even the dream depends on the dreamer and as such are negatable. Whereas the kshetrajna, the knower of the kshetras, is independent, and though obtaining in all the kshetras is one, which is the truth. The kshetras are perishable, while the kshetrajna is unborn, ancient, beginningless and everlasting, which is what we read, chanted in the chapter 2 from verse 16 to 25. One way of getting rooted in this knowledge is to compare and contrast kshetra and kshetrajna all the time. Assimilate such knowledge and contemplate on the import of the teaching does. So we'll just run through the difference between kshetra and kshetrajna. Kshetra is the kshetras are many and varied, whereas the kshetrajna is one and invariable. Kshetra is asat. Kshetrajna is sat. Kshetra is apparent and dependent, whereas kshetrajna is real and independent. Kshetra is perishable. Kshetrajna is imperishable. Kshetra is born, has both beginning and end, everlasting. The cycle continues. Whereas Kshetrajna is unborn. Kshetra is born, has both beginning and end. Whereas Kshetrajna is unborn, beginningless, and everlasting. That everlasting has to come under Kshetrajna. Kshetras have unique qualities and are various kshetras, whereas kshetrajna is quality-less and the one in all kshetras. Kshetra is destructible, whereas kshetrajna is indestructible. Kshetra is jadam, inert, and no cognition of own existence or awareness. So, no cognition of own existence. Whereas kshetrajna is chaitanyam, the witness and awareness. Kshetra is always changing and agitated. Kshetrajna is changeless and shantam. Kshetra is parichinnaha, limited in space and time. Whereas kshetrajna is aparichinnaha, all pervading and limitless. Kshetra, the object, the illumined, whereas kshetrajna is the very subject, the very illuminator of all. Kshetra is samsari, kshetrajna is the witness of the very samsaram. Kshetra is kinchignaha, a little knowing, ajnani, ignorant, whereas kshetrajna is sarvajnaha, all knowing, jnani or omniscient. So the last word, in case it is going beyond a sentence, actually belongs to kshetrajna. So that is how we need to read this. Let's not get confused with that. And the list can be endless. The knowledge that helps make the clear, unambiguous, and doubtless distinction between the kshetra and kshetrajna, and also the knowledge that helps root one in the kshetrajna, is considered to be jnanam by Bhagavan. The one who gains this jnana is also considered to be none other than Bhagavan. Jnani tvatmaiva me matam. That is the 18th verse of chapter 7. It is little wonder that Bhagavan Ramana, the Jnani, liked this couplet of verses as a part of Dwichatvarimshat. So I think we'll stop here at verse 34, and we'll contemplate on all that we've learned and listened. Let's close our eyes and just reflect on all that we have heard, listened to, and come out with our understanding. I think in order for us to facilitate Manana, I will just chant the verses that we finished. I think we started from 24, but actually we were supposed to start at 27. Yeah. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. At the end of many births, the Jnani takes refuge in me. That Mahatma who realizes that all this is Vasudeva is very rare. Avyaktoksara ityuktaha tamahuh paramangatim yam prapya na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. That is said to be unmanifest, indeclinable, and the supreme end, having gained which there is no return. That is my supreme abode. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janav paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Whoever prays to me, serves me with no other thought. Those who ever revel in the identity with me, I shall secure their yogam and kshemam. Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam enamamupayanti te. To the steadfast devotees who always pray to me with love, I shall bestow jnanam to enable them attain me. Teshamevanukampatham ahamajnanajam tamaha nashayamyatma bhavasto jnanadipena bhasvata. Out of compassion for them, I shall shine the light of knowledge in their minds to destroy the darkness born out of ignorance. Aham atma gudakesha sarvabhutashayastitaha aham adischa madhyancha bhutanamanta evacha. O Gudakesha, I am Atma and reside in all beings. I am the very beginning, middle, and end of all beings. This is from the Gita Dhyanam. Mukam karoti vachalam panghum langhayate girim yat krupatamaham vande paramananda madhavam. I salute the embodiment of happiness, Madhava, whose kripa makes the dumb eloquent and the lame cross a mountain. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya ahamevam vidhorjuna jnatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. Arjuna, with unflinching devotion, it is possible to know me thus, see, and in essence, enter. Yasmanno dvijate loko, lokanno dvijate jayaha, harsha marsha bhayodvegaihi, mukto yassa cha me priyaha. By whoever people do not get agitated, whoever is not agitated by people, whoever is free from elation, impatience, fear, and excitement, such a person is dear to me. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidhiyate etadyo veti tam prahuhu kshetrajna iti tadvidaha. O Kaunteya, this shariram is said to be kshetram. The knower of this is said to be kshetrajna by those who know that, who know tat kshetram. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam yattadjnanam matam mama. O Bharata, know me to be the kshetrajna in all the kshetras. My opinion is jnanam is that which knows kshetra and kshetrajna. we'll reflect on all that we have heard and listened.
Hari Om. Bhagwan is again and again giving the promises, so many promises that I will take care of you. But we have to inculcate those qualifications. And what are those qualifications? They are so simple. The unwavering faith in him, the devotion, and the Shuddha Antakarana with a discerning intellect. That is the Vivek Buddhi. So I believe, but still, like we need to again and again come back to that center so that we do not have our faith is not shaken. Bhagwan is promised every now and then that I am there to take care of your yoga kshema. What you have not obtained and whatever you have obtained, I will protect that. But still sometimes our faith is shaken. Although Bhagwan is again and again promising that I will take care of the things. So that is one thing which is very wonderfully explained by Nanaji. And yeah, if anyone can, in between, if I just recall, I will just tell.
Yeah. What I was thinking was that Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. So I was just thinking about what Dr. Savita had asked some time ago about how do we keep our mind constantly. Why does our mind not stay with Bhagwan or rooted in the Atma in our day-to-day activities and all that? I think that is all because of Maya. This like the before being born, the fetus inside the womb thinks, oh, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be rooted in Atma. I'm going to be only praying to Bhagavan. I want a release from this difficulty, this miserable life. All that is going on. But the moment the baby is born, there is the baby is enveloped by this envelopment of Maya, the veil of Maya. So similarly, moment to moment, unless we are aware, like being in the present moment, the veil of Maya is what takes us away from that center. So I think again, like I think Bela had mentioned, we have to pray to Prakriti, the Shakti. Pray to the very Shakti, please remove your veil from give me that jnana. This is what I want. That is one. And the second very, very powerful sentence was that ayamatma gudakesha sarva bhuta shayasita. In that explanation of that, it is like, all of us reading the Gita, if you're getting this, if you're one way to get this is to just get it as a concept. But that is as frivolous as reading some news somewhere. But then, unless we get the total import, there is no point in us reading the Gita, which is what I think I just want to go back to that. It's such a powerful sentence. It's like a wake-up call. 1 second, let me just go to that sentence.
Yeah, Nanaji has put some questions. If we can't see,
yeah, it's better you go and read some newspaper. You don't need to read Gita.
Yes.
Yeah, verse 29.
29?
Yeah. I had this question like the way bhakti is talked of, na? I just like 29, 30. Vibhakti. 29 verse in the last. the readers of Gita.
Yeah, just it went.
Yeah, in the end, towards the end.
Towards the end. So,
Readers, yeah.
readers of the Gita, even after understanding this verse, if they constantly practice vibhakti, then they might as well give up the Gita for good and read some miserable newspaper which gives a lot more information. In order to inculcate the requisite Shraddha and Bhakti in us, there are some beautiful. So, what is this vibhakti? Is in spite of knowing that Bhagwan is there, Ayamatma Gudakesha, we still get caught up in likes and dislikes, being jealous, being angry. So he is everywhere. And Bhagwan, in one shot, Bhagwan said that he is everywhere and that he is not only Atma, but obtains in everything and in every being as Atma. That means what all we see is Atma. What all we see is Bhagavan. There is no other. We are devoted to Bhagavan is the question. Then why do we have likes and dislikes in respect of persons that we come across? Are they not Bhagavans? Then where is the division, vibhakti? When we pray to him, it is with bhakti, devotion, or at least required to be with bhakti. How then has this vibhakti caught hold of us? That is because we take what is said in the Gita as a bit of information and not an injunction for our good. Readers of the Gita, even after understanding this verse, if they constantly practice vibhakti, then they might as well give up the Gita for good. I felt this was a very powerful, powerful message actually. So rather than just taking this as information and just getting some factual knowledge, what needs to be understood is get the import and start practicing it. Absolutely no value if you do not put it into practice. So
In the
that,
following verse, verse 30, again Vibhakti is talked about like Dvait Bhayam Bhavati. So the Vibhakti division fear happens.
yeah.
Can you explain that fear? Like maybe I've the concept of fear. Why do we have fear? It is because of ignorance. It is because of lack of knowledge, naturally. But why, can you explain the fear part? The fear, like Arjuna had fear seeing in the
Vishwarupa Sandarshana.
Vishwarupa Darshana after that, and in the mouth also he saw. Why he was differentiating himself like Atma from Anatma, that is understood. But
He
why
didn't
for
see himself as part of Krishna.
no,
That
no, he did not
belongingness.
see. He did not see himself inside. He had that is why that fear came. But
Yeah.
he knows the difference between Atma and Anatma. Still, he had fear.
See, only when you have another can you can the other either harm you or whatever, humiliate, hurt you. Whatever can happen is when the other is there. If there is only one, where is the fear? Where is the there is no other to do anything. So only when there are two, this fear happens. I don't know how to put it down.
No, I followed your this point. But in another shloka also, initially we read in verse 19 also, the fear was mentioned, no? The way we read this Dama Shama.
So this fear is because of lack of belongingness, isn't it? He When we don't feel the belongingness, we feel the division, and then that creates fear.
Right.
Jai Gurudev,
And
I think there can be many reasons for fear coming up. The most prominent one is the very basic thing is losing the body. So till the time that differentiation dawns in the baby, it doesn't fear for anything. But once that identity starts coming up, that this is my body, this is me, by the age of 2.5, 3 and all, then only that fear thing comes up to save the body. That is the first and very predominant kind of fear. And we want to hold on to whatever is there around us to be steady. Means permanently we want something which we like it. With our rag dvesh, whatever situation is there, people are there, or whatever, we try to hold on to it. So the losing of that also creates fear.
Yeah,
So
fear of
losing
losing.
the body, losing the situation which is there, the comforts around me, and whatever I have, that rag dvesh, no, depending on that, we try to hold on or we try to reject. Due to that, also fear comes up. So all this is related to the holding on to the Maya and thinking that Maya is the ultimate, trying to hold on to that, which is impermanent anyway. Everything is changing, and we are, means everything is born, sustained, and then it is going to perish for sure. This truth, this universal law, somewhere goes in the background, and anything we are trying to hold on, even to this body, creates fear, I think so. I think Brahmaraji will explain it better. Jai Gurudev.
So how to develop that, like not to have that vibhakti? How to work up upon that part?
Have a complete 100% trust, like a small baby in mother's lap. Having that
No,
much.
like when we move in the society, you always have that I-ness, you have that ego is there, that I
So that
is there. You are
it's
always
our
Gurudev
in the
says,
conditioning
differentiating
also,
mode, no?
right?
Gurudev says no, that a little bit of fear is needed, then only we can maintain this body. Otherwise, we will just walk into anywhere and just lose this body. No, so little, very tiny, like a salt, tiny amount of fear is there, and it is needed to maintain. Otherwise, that's what, it's a very tricky and skillful thing. You need to play the role 100% in the Maya, keeping in the background in your inner state continuously that it is the Maya and the real truth is the Atma Tattva. So everything is happening according to its own cycles and prarabdhas and everything, and under the laws. So giving 100% at the same time, having that complete trust, confidence, and shraddha on the ultimate. I think so. Vyavhar and Sansar, we need to, Vyavhar and Paramarth, we need to have that in the background. We know that everything is wood in my house, but still I can't use the door as my dining table. No, so cupboard, I can't use it as a dining table. So in the Vyavhar, I have to maintain that differentiation, differences. But inside, I know that everything is, for sure, it is wood only. So अंदर अंदर वो तैलवत धारा चालू रहना चाहिए कि about that ultimate Atma Tattva. And in the Vyavhar, you need to behave time to time and then surrendering it that I am not the doer.
Yeah, so that
And
the Samdarshina
this is our
bhava will not happen until unless that vibhakti is worked up upon. That
Yeah, our conditioning. We are conditioned as to good and bad, like and dislikes. It is our conditioning that we need to work on so that we get that antakarna shuddhi, and then
yeah,
only we can evolve
the
to see samadarshana and all that.
samdarshana,
And even
right?
that is a grace.
Yeah, the fault finding, judging, all these come
Mhm.
under, I think, this.
See, even if a newspaper you read something, we don't know fully what is the full truth. But if we read something, we have a concept of good and bad. Based on that, we decide this particular information or whatever happened is so injustice. So we get angry against the people who are behind the injustice, isn't it? But Gurudev has said no. It is like the director. Somebody plays villain, somebody plays heroes. But usually everybody likes the heroes. But the director is impartial with the hero and the villain. Only if the villain is good, this movie is a success. So this is what I gained this morning, that my conditioning of like and dislike creates that all these anger and fear and all that jealousy, greed, all that. And therefore, I need to first work on my concepts inside me. And until, see, from childhood, we were not told that Krishna is there in everybody. The divine is there in both the good and the bad. We always thought, and divine is in us. At least this is what I grew up with. Divine is somebody outside. So we need to clean all that concepts, wash out all that, and come to a state that divine is there in me and in the bad guy. And each one of us are caught in that guna karmas. So moving back to the witness consciousness very consciously as a practice and with the dispassion, slowly, slowly removing the strong emotions we are attached to. It's a long process, I think. And here
Actually,
probably prayer and grace will help us grow.
Also awareness, like I was listening to Gurudev's talk somewhere yesterday only, and he mentioned there that why do we lie to our spouse? Why don't we tell them the truth? The fear of losing them is there. And then he talked that fear, greed, anxiety is all distortions of love. That is what he mentioned in that. And he says we want to, when in love, we want to be so possessive of a certain person. Then he mentioned that greed comes up. And he was also like talking about uh, 2% lust is there in love. And lust is not bad. Whereas there is too much of extremes of that, and then it fizzles out, the love. Here we try to hide it and we think of it. Uh, it is not something bad. It is needed in life. So in love, 2% is lust, which we need to realize. And our rishis were all married, they had wives. And part of the love that they gave was lust was there to the extent of 2%. And that is how they got children. So Gurudev explained it, okay, we should not look down upon lust also. And then he showed that because of the possessiveness, we turn greedy. We we treat a person like an object, it leads to lust. When you look upon him as divinity, then it's the like the pinnacle of love. So all this he was explaining so nicely that we need to look upon fear, anxiety, all the negative emotions as distortions of love. So many times he has said that all these distortions are in the tail of love, love upside down. He has so many times in so many talks he has said that. It is for us to realize that the other person, whoever we um, are jealous of, or we are thinking that they are so-called wrong, whatever wrong they are doing is because of the ignorance of knowledge in them. That's all. then it's so easy to forgive them, to have compassion for them. I mean, it is not that difficult to give compassion and unconditional love. Why should love be conditional? Because our love is conditional, this person is bad, so we won't give him love. We think like that. The divine is present in everybody. And being in Art of Living, we know for sure that we are taking courses in jails, we are working with terrorists, and we are bringing about transformation in them. The examples are so beautifully placed in front of us. For years together, we are doing this work. Then how we still have to become aware that love has to be unconditional? We need to be thinking and pondering on all this. That with compassion, we forgive everybody who is coming out of ignorance. Gurudev somewhere said that darkness is just absence of light. I think I sent that a video to Dr. Baramra. In the same way, evil is the absence of goodness, he said there in that video. It was so mind-boggling, like, and so easily he speaks on all these subjects. Like, we just need to now use that and nidhi dhyasa, as they say, put it into practice. All this knowledge. Jai Gurudev.
Very beautiful manana today. Very nice. I think like what Madhuri ji mentioned at the back, in the background, you have the Samadarshana Bhava, where you have this, there is no vibhakti, there is only oneness, feeling of oneness. But like how superficially Gurudev says, when you criticize someone, it should come from the throat and not from deep within the heart. So within the heart, you have this oneness feeling. But in order to deal with situations, people around us, we just have this little division in our mind. Otherwise, it's difficult to function as a normal human being. So with that as a backdrop, we go around and continue this process of cleansing, which is why those three things are so important. That is, Shraddha in the Shastra is important. Having a clean, pure mind is important. And then Viveka, a discerning intellect. See, unless we have the intellect, which is discerning, we cannot deal with people differently. If at workplace, you will have to call out someone who's not doing things right, you have to call out. There you cannot bring in saying, oh, everyone is the same. I will not, how can I treat him? No, that is where discrimination comes, Viveka comes. So I think it's a fine balance between, you cannot live life with neti, then you might as well go to the Himalayas, become a sannyasi, right? But for all of us who are living a worldly life, we are all grihastas, we'll have to balance. Balance is the key. Where we have to use that is the discrimination. I think we'll
Can I
stop here.
just share
Yeah,
one more example of the ashram?
yeah, please.
In Bangalore ashram, there were a lot of people who were losing electronic equipments which were costly. And then security was tightened in the security court. A lady going, she somehow knew how to open this numbered locks, and she would open them, and she would do this thefts. So she was brought before Gurudev. And I just want to show what Gurudev did. Like, the security was all hyper and saying, shall we call the police in? Shall we hand her over? And Gurudev told that lady, Ma, you're pregnant, and why do you need to do all this thievery and all that? You come to me. And he said, give her a new sari, bring her a new sari, all those. And he said, what else you want? What else you want? He gave her money. And he told her, see, now you don't rob, huh? You come to me whenever you need anything. The way he said it, and the way, I mean, normally our this thing is of beating up a thief if we catch one. And look how Gurudev, I mean, for us, it is so shocking, like, to see this kind of a incident being, and see how he dealt with a theft. Do you think that person will ever rob again? And he told her in very unclear terms that please come to me, take whatever you want from me. Money, clothes, whatever. Be comfortable, you are pregnant. such unconditional love. I mean, just a
My eyes
lesson
are
to
busy.
learn from this. Just a lesson. Even with a thief, he did not show anger or where does he come from? From what space does he come from? If we can imbibe that lesson and, start giving, first we need to give compassion and love to everybody. They are ignorant who do us wrong. They are not in this knowledge. Just forgive them. Move on.
Tears in my eyes.
Thank you for sharing, Percy ji.
And same thing with snake once he did. Like there would be a snake near his kuti, but it would be in its home. But for few days it would come up and then would show up. So everybody was getting scared. Then Guruji said, he is sick, take him to the vet. And then people caught him, and really the snake was sick. That's why he was coming out in open. So he was treated like that. So even he knew about the animal part. He was compassionate towards animals as well.
Overall, I think trying to hold on to anything that don't want to lose, and forgetting the impermanence of the objects, people, and situations creates the fear. And little fear is needed to maintain this Maya also. But in the background, we have to keep continuously this thing that it is the impermanent and it is anyway going to change. Giving our 100% and rejoice in the self. Jai Gurudev.
We'll stop here today and we'll continue tomorrow. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.